suffering from a chronic illness, that you are on sort of the steady down slope and you're not getting any answers and you're just getting worse and worse, there might be some real gems in our experience tell you how he is finally better after almost 15 years of trying to figure 15. It out. And our hope is just that we can shorten your learning curve and get you somewhere faster.
Yeah, so for me, I was going through a lot of chronic fatigue, bouts of depression. Brain fog was probably the biggest one for me, which was really hard to understand what that was. I mean, I think I hear a lot of people talk about it, but to actually go through it was a really weird experience. And then the other thing that kind of triggered a lot of this for us to start this journey was I had hypothyroidism.
Okay.
So what I'll say is I was a very outgoing, fun-loving, mountain biking, basketball, outdoorsy kind of guy. And I just thrived off it and loved it.
How that changed over time was, I guess it was like 14 years ago. Just really like such a personality switch, like really negative, really down, really lost his zest for living. The things that gave him a lot of joy, he just didn't get any joy out of them anymore. He just didn't do them anymore. And he got, just a very negative mindset, you know.
I just thought it was just life. I thought it was just life that was kind of sucking it out of me. I didn't know any better.
And we definitely had major struggles in our marriage. You know, it was a lot of arguing, a lot of like, you know, what's the matter? You know, I would be constantly, you always tell that story, like I'd be pointing out, you know, we have a beautiful life, you know, we really do. And to figure out like what was the source of all this kind of negative brain fog, not thinking. He used to say all the time, I can't even think clearly.
Right.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
Conversations that I at times couldn't understand what was being said or how to respond, which really weird.
Such a weird thing to say, but it was like that's really what it was. And there are a lot of people out there. I talk to them like I have such brain fog, so it's real. Brain fog is real. So we started this therapist.
Finally, she said, "Marty, have you gotten your thyroid tested?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "You really need to." So it was almost like the pivotal point where it kind of started this journey that we've been on for a long time.
And the thyroid came back really bad. So at that point, we thought, you know what, we're going to go to the local hospital. We're going to get out because we're big about you treat everything naturally. We do not, believe in heavy prescriptions. And we try to do everything, naturally. Said, yep, you have hypothyroidism. Very common, and we're going to put you
on Synthroid, and you'll be on it the rest of your life.
So I said, well, why is my husband's thyroid shutting down? That's a mystery.
The response was, you'll probably never know why that has happened. So let's just treat the symptom, and you'll feel better.
And then he mentioned that he had a lot of brain fog and was feeling depressed at times. And she said, great, here's a prescription for that. And here's a prescription for the thyroid. And these are, you can take these for life, basically. These are things that, And
that wasn't a good enough answer for us.
We walked out there and I was like, oh, hell no. That is not the answer.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to find what's the core of this? Why is this happening?
This 12-minute appointment, walking out with 2 prescriptions that you're supposed to take for ad nauseum, no, that's not happening. So I'm like, okay, we need to figure out why is your thyroid, all your hormones, everything's off. Let's move on. So we went to a functional medicine practice that was sort of integrative, and we started doing monstrous amounts of testing to see, what was really at the core of it. The whole time, steady downhill. Definitely. Not feeling better, getting worse and worse worse.
Getting worse. The fatigue really kicked in. I was spending most of my time in bed.
Yeah, and I mean, it was getting really dire. And I can remember even more rocky on the marriage because it started like, now we're 3 kids, sports, we both work. And it's, he would work his work day and then he would crawl into bed. And I was like, really? You're going to crawl into bed again? And it was just like a major
strain on our marriage,
on our family and our marriage. And I'm saying that because I know that people are going to hear this video who have chronic illness or who love somebody who is. And when you don't understand, which I 100% have so much guilt for the millions of times that I did not understand what was going on and was not compassionate enough. and I'm very sorry for that. You know, it's really hard to understand when you see someone who looks normal and they're just like, I'm tired and I'm negative, and you just like, I don't even like I was truly like, I didn't even like who you were. He was like, it was like, this is not the guy I married, and I don't know who this guy is, and I don't like him.
But the whole time I kept saying to her, I know the original me, the old me, is in there. I had no idea how to find him, or
I mean, the darkest, there was a really, really dark day where you said, I will never forget this. It was definitely the darkest moment where you said to me, this is when things go, I would say things went like this, and then they went like this. He said, I know that you would be better off if I died. Like, you're vibrant and you're alive and you should live a wonderful life, and you don't deserve this. And I was like, what the hell are you saying? This is insane. What is going on? And I was like, Mart, I will fight for you if you're there. Are you in there? You know, because honestly, it was hard to see. It was really hard to see. And you said, I'm in here, like I am. And so I guess at that point,
that's when Danielle kind of went into overdrive and was like,
we need to figure this out on our own, because we're not getting the answers from traditional medicine, and we're not getting the answers in functional medicine. And we've already been to an herbalist, and we've tried a million things. Oh, and chiropractic care. I mean, we did it all. So someone had given me this book, and I definitely want to recommend this, Medical Medium. And I can say this, there's a ton of regular doctors who are going to say this is a bunch of crackery. And this is the only thing I'll say about it. This literally describes, it was like, I'll never forget, it's like page 39. It's called The Hidden Epidemic, and it talks about Epstein-Barr virus. You know, I read this book, and I'm going through the symptoms, and it's literally to the T of what he has going on. So I sent him the pages, and he said, you know, this really does sound like it, so let's run the test. We've never run it. And we ran a lot of tests, but we had never run
lots
that.
of tests.
So we get that back, and normal titers, I think, were like I think they said it was like 20 to 30, and his was like
660.
660.
It was way off the charts. It was basically telling you that it was a super active virus that was going on in my body.
So at this point, I said to the doctor who had been treating us at that point, and we weren't getting anywhere anyway. I said, how much experience do you have with this? And he's like, not that much. So we went, at that point, we found somebody who had a lot more experience with EBV, and he recommended, the first thing he did was NAD IVs, which gave Marty a lot of energy, which was amazing because he hadn't had any energy in a really long time, but it was very temporary. And then the next thing he recommended was high dose antivirals for 3 months. He went on Alinea, and it was supposed to be for 90 days. So it was like, whatever it was, 2.5 months, we went back for a blood test to see like what are the numbers. And I literally felt like I saw the fear in the doctor's eyes when he said, you know, his EBV numbers have greatly increased. And so not only the antivirals were supposed to make him sick, so he didn't feel well, which was kind of expected. He was supposed to be sick anyway. So he went from chronic fatigue and then chronic fatigue and sick to realizing after 3 months of doing that it didn't work, and actually everything is sped up. And at this point, he's not even functional. I mean, and also you had lost the use of his left arm. He could no longer do this, and he could no longer do this. So he's now depressed, chronic fatigue all the time, can't use his left arm. Mm-hmm. And it was... And
I got even a harder one for me was that the past two doctors, one of their lines to me was, it's amazing that you don't have cancer yet.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Which is a really unbelievably hard thing to hear. And it really puts such a fear into you.
Oh
I don't want cancer. I don't want my family to have to go through their father, their husband with cancer. So that kind of elevated it for me. I was like, it really freaked me out.
Like now it's really like I am fully understanding the seriousness of the situation. And I've also, at this point, I have joined all these chronic Epstein-Barr virus groups that people share what's working, what's not working. And by the way, the reason why Marty's quiet is his brain fog was so bad at that point that he was basically like, I can't even make decisions like about this. Like whatever you say or whatever you find, I am putting my life in your hands.
Forget it. That last meeting with that doctor, one of the things he's like, I really don't have much more that I can do for you. But he's like, I've been reading these studies about ozone and UBI treatments. He's like, I think it might be a really good thing for you to like find a place that does this.
It felt like we had exhausted all the resources in this area. I was realizing from being a part of all these chronic Epstein-Barr virus groups, like and researching like what the prognosis and the outcome is for these people that are suffering with this, it's dire. Okay, we're in full like save Marty's life mode now. This isn't about having a husband who's, where is he? And he's sort of tired all the time. This is like his life. I landed on UBI and Ozone and a medical center that seemed to know a lot about EBV, and that was not in our area. And it's not considered, it's definitely in the US considered out of the box medical treatment, alternative treatment.
But yet in Europe, it's a common treatment.
Very common.
It's prescribed to people for lots and lots of sicknesses.
Yes. So, and it's, you can actually, there's an article about it. It's called The Cure That Time Forgot. Apparently when they realized the power of the healing of this, it was the same time that vaccines came on the scene, and vaccines kind of was just such a big money maker that this just got pushed to the file cabinet. So you can get this around the U.S. in certain cities and certain medical centers. So that's what we did.
Take a bag of my blood out and then inject. They'd slowly step up to higher levels of ozone. Ozone, which is oxygen. The ozone that we actually have protecting our planet, is just huge amounts of oxygen. So Danielle was there for one of my treatments, and she got to see my blood would come out. It's pretty dark, really like almost black-like. Mm-hmm. And they would inject the ozone, and it would turn into a beautiful red, almost like a Kool-Aid kind of color, and then it would go back into my body. After 3 treatments of that, I started feeling an energy pickup. Run it through an ultraviolet machine where the blood would come back down in and go through and be bombarded with ultraviolet lights, which after reading more and more about it that's where a lot of viruses are killed, parasites. It's just really, it's almost like it's a blood cleansing in a weird way.
So the way I like to describe it to like a layman, is like the UBI was sunshine in the blood, it was knocking down pathogens, parasites, viruses, kind of anything that's really funky and not supposed to be there, knocking it down. And then the ozone was, super oxygen, was basically boosting the immune system. So it was like knocking it down and then infusing you. And so basically what the hope was that his body would be able to get over the tipping point of all the toxic byproduct that the virus was creating. The virus is creating all this toxic byproduct, and it's shoving it in his organs, and his organs are all shutting down. All the things that clean, the liver, the adrenal glands, the thyroid, the blood, they were all a mess when he left. Right. They were literally barely functioning, and the host body was barely functioning because of that. He got amazing results. So let's just say this: he is completely back.
Amazing.
To the person that he once was. He's positive. He's energetic.
Yeah, like one of my favorite things is when I was out there, I started playing basketball. I haven't played basketball in 5 years.
Or more.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
And I started playing basketball 3 days a week. It was so fun. It was happy to me again. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's like amazing.
Really awesome. Sorry.
It's just been so long. and so difficult. And the reason we're sharing this is because we know there are so many people out there with all of these things. And I want to say...
that's actually one of the things I wanted to bring up. So while I was at this treatment center, I was sitting next to people that were fighting Parkinson's, fighting MS,
Lyme's disease,
just
Crohn's,
all these different, just
chronic,
amazing amount of different things going on, and everyone, they're having success.
Yes.
So and I judge success. Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm a numbers guy, and I'm big on reports and test reports. And before I left, my EBV levels were greater than 681. That exact same level is now greater than 8. The number 8. It's amazing. So sadly, I'm still reactive state. It has to be even lower. But what the cool part for me is I have my energy back again. I'm eating much better. One of the big things was I changed my diet. I went through food allergy tests, and I'm going to be gluten-free for the rest of my life. Hard for me, but well worth it to know what I need to do to keep inflammation out of my system and to fight this and to continue to be healthy and be there for my wife and my family.
The bottom line is, when looking back now, before we knew that there was a virus involved, right? When we were so this is what we find in the medical system, traditional medical system. You're treating symptoms, but if you don't get to the root, you will never heal, right? It's like treating a cough with a cough drop, right? It may soothe your throat a little bit, but it's not going to take the cough away, because the cough is, there's a root for why you're coughing. Persist. Find out what you have, what's at the root cause of it. Don't accept this is a mystery and you'll probably never know, and here's your prescription for life. Don't accept that. He is better.
I'm back. I feel great.
He's able to work. He's full of life, and
I'm positive. It's awesome.
Game changing. See if some of these chronic mystery symptoms that you might be treating, if it does have a root in EBV. And I would say, go back to this book, go to Barnes & Noble and just read this book. You can go right to your chapter and see, does this resonate with me? Is this what I have? Do these symptoms match what I'm going through? And then you can start the process of getting tested. And the only reason we're sharing our 15 years of agony out there publicly is so that we can help some other people who don't need to go through all that. And we wish everyone the best, and we wish everyone a long and healthy life.